All right, let's talk about a massive shift happening at work. And no, it's not about AI or some new trendy management theory. It's much simpler. It's about an open door. And more importantly, it's about what you decide to do when you find yourself standing right in front of one.
Oof, that question really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's a bit blunt, yeah, maybe even a little uncomfortable, but it's dead on. See, the whole point is that leadership is opening these doors, creating these chances. But here's the catch. They don't stay open forever. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at how these doors are opening up. Then we'll get into this weird paradox of why so many of us just stand there. We're going to unpack the psychology, look at the real cost of doing nothing, and then I'll give you a proactive playbook to actually walk through. It'll all lead to that one final choice. Okay, let's dive right in. You know that old school, top-down, command and control style of leadership? Well, in a lot of companies, that's really starting to fall apart. And what's taking its place? Well, where there used to be solid walls, now you're starting to see open doors. Just picture it, right? The old corporate fortress, with all its locked doors and gatekeepers. That's kind of giving way to something that feels more like an open forum. And listen, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky idea. It's a real, tangible shift in how leaders are choosing to operate. The doors aren't just unlocked, they're literally swinging open.
So, what does this new era of openness actually feel like in practice? Well, for starters, leaders actually want to listen. And collaboration is not just a buzzword on a motivational poster anymore. They are actively asking for it. Leadership is on the ground floor now, not just hiding out in the boardroom. That whole rigid hierarchy is getting flatter and flatter. Okay, so this is where things get kind of weird. You'd think with all these new opportunities, everyone will be rushing to get in on the action, right? But that's not what's happening. Instead, we're seeing this really strange paradox. People are choosing to stay passive. And on the surface, you hear the right words. Everybody says it. Oh yeah, I definitely want to be a part of it. But I just don't have the time. My schedule is just slammed right now. Or how about this one? But I haven't been personally invited. Like, are we waiting for a handwritten note delivered by carrier pigeon? That's not how this works anymore. And then there's the classic, but, well, that's not really my role. It's the perfect excuse to stay in your little box, even while the walls of that box are being completely redrawn by someone else. And my personal favorite, but I'm sure it's a done deal anyway. Ah, yes, the ultimate cop-out. It's the kind of cynicism that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You believe you have no power, so you don't even try to grab it. So let's just call it what it is. The problem isn't the system anymore. It's not the frame. The door is open. The real obstacle, the real problem, is that we're not taking the step. So why? Why do we hesitate? Why would anyone choose to stay on the outside looking in? It's not just about being lazy. Oh no, it's way deeper than that. There are some really powerful psychological reasons we cling to the sidelines. Let's unpack those. Look, let's be honest. The sidelines are cozy. They're safe. Because stepping into the ring, well, that's a risk. It means you have to leave spectator mode. You can't just sit back and critique from afar anymore. Once you're in the room, you can't fall back on that old line, well, nobody asked me. You can't hide behind that easy, cheap criticism. You're part of it now. And yeah, that means you're exposed. So it's tempting to choose that comfort, right? But here's the kicker. That comfort has a cost, a really high one. Choosing to stay outside isn't a neutral decision. It has very real consequences. And what's the cost? It's brutal, but simple. You become irrelevant. You give up any actual influence you could have had. And because there's no such thing as a vacuum in these situations, somebody else will step into that space. They'll fill it, and they will be the ones making the decisions for you. And before you know it, your opinion, even if you're shouting it from the cheap seats, it just doesn't matter anymore. Okay, that's pretty bleak, I get it. But we're not here to just stare at the problem, we're here to find a way forward. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about the solution, your proactive playbook. These are the concrete steps you can take to actually walk through that open door. All right, here it is, 5 simple steps.
Number 1, volunteer first. Don't wait to be tapped on the shoulder. Number 2, propose things freely. You don't need a formal request for ideas. 3, embrace that uncomfortable feeling. Seriously, that feeling is how you know you're growing. 4, act now. Just act. Stop waiting for the perfect invitation. It's not coming. And finally, number 5, when that door opens, your response should be action. Be grateful, sure, but then get to work immediately.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The new reality is crystal clear. You've got the playbook, but ultimately, it all boils down to a choice. A choice that nobody else can make for you, because this is the new reality. The fight isn't about kicking down doors anymore. That's the old battle. That fight's largely been won. The real challenge now, it's internal. It's about mustering the courage to simply walk through a door that's already standing wide open for you. Because let me tell you, if you don't walk through it on your own 2 feet, nobody is going to carry you. So, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Just take a second and think back over your career, maybe even your whole life, and be honest with yourself. How many doors have been open for you that you chose not to walk through? And maybe the even bigger question is, what are you going to do next time?